Hey everybody, so I'm sitting down after I just did my situation from my piano. Hold on one second. You know what's really funny? People are really funny. I'm sitting here and hold on. I'm sitting here and thinking about all the times where I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, because you know how you get up in the morning and you think, one second, people was destroying the world and they weren't gonna have a home. Hi y'all. Yes, I got a bonnet on because I'm feeling like God is blessed, wants me to be comfortable, wants me to be happy. So we was gonna do a video about the witches, what it says in the Bible about the witches. Before I talk about that, because there's a story, and it's in the Bible, because the witches now, they all talking about witchcraft, these witch zones and everything, where people be having to see things. This area kind of is a witch zone. This street, James Street, and that's a problem. And people be wishy-washy, wondering where to go. They got a psychic area right by the train, right by the end of the railroad. And it's crazy because people be seeing spiritual things. They be thinking that they gotta see the dead. The dead know nothing. Okay, those witches, those people that be talking to the dead, that's a problem. And people in the last days, they said, will be doing it. These are just signs of the times. Okay, these are just signs of the times. It's just signs of the times, people. That means you gotta be ready. Okay, you gotta be ready. So when they talk about these witches and warlocks and wizards and all type of magicry, it ain't nothing but nothing new under the sun. What God has said was gonna happen, because people need to pay attention. Those are signs that people is doing crazy, lying. The devil lying to the people, got you in harm's way. Don't go there, because you don't know how you're gonna leave. You don't know where you're going. You got people destroying, ain't gonna have no home. They're not gonna have a home if they keep doing this. Okay, that's the problem. That's what I need you to understand. That's why this mess is happening, because if you keep doing stuff that you're not supposed to do, you're not gonna have a home. Okay, you need to realize that all these people talking about whatnot, they're not doing nothing with their time. They're wasting their time, messing up. Okay, you have got to be grateful of that. Okay, because the Lord in Zion done reigneth. Now what happened was, we gonna talk about the first witch in the Bible. Okay, I was gonna say it talks about it in the Bible. Okay, yes, it really does, because he did something and he wasn't supposed to do it. All right, he had a prophet, but instead of speaking to the prophet, he spoke to a witch. Now we gonna go and find where it says that. Why would he do that? Now we gonna go to 1 Samuel, because 1 Samuel talks about what happened when he did that. Okay, let me remind y'all something. Okay, because the Lord wanted people to understand this, just in case they feel like they need to venture off. And you need to be careful before you venture off, because they be thinking they gotta go places and think they gotta do certain things and whatnot, when God said don't do it. Don't do it now. Because when God says things like, but if ye shall still see, you see, this is what Samuel said to him. All right, I found it. He said, because this movie called Wicked, that's wrong. They saying what they doing, what it is. Okay, you got to know the difference between right and wrong. Now God did say we have to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute you. All of that. Love your enemy, love your enemies. But that doesn't mean you got to do what they doing. You just got to tell them what it is. that they need to watch out for and not do again after it's been done, because we can't save people. We gonna end up messed up ourselves. All right, this is the problem. All right, this is the problem. Let me show you what's going on. It's always the First Nations kings, the first of them, the first one that brings it in. That's the provider. A king is like a provider. Okay, let's just be for real. A leader is like a provider. But if they not doing right, they people won't do right. It's just simple as that. You leading, you got to learn to follow before you can lead. Learn to know who it is that you must be. You all over the place, and you not doing nothing for your life, for the people of your life. In the movie Wicked, they talking about now we got to give them some props for telling their truth, but they not doing enough. They showing witches and all type of relationships can't even lead the people to whatever they trying to go in, some land or something to work or whatnot. And it's hard work, hard labor, but you're not giving them something to remember. And that's why they fell apart. In that land, in the movie Wicked, with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo acting as witches, the good witch and the bad witch, when really they need to tell the truth to their people why things are falling apart. It's the same thing with Saul. Now we talk about today's time. People want to talk about witches and whatnot. Kings, they in relationships, and then they got a man who's the Tin Man, or the straw guy, whatever, that guy that stands on 2 sticks or whatever, or you got some other man who's like a lion turned into a lion. What the heck? Some kind of beast. What is going on? And that is true, because that's what happened. She see all these things around her, and it's like by their fruits you should know their labor. It's the reason why she's all confused, because she wants to run away from the fact her first love, who should be God, is going to help her, and she's deceived. Now you got the mother of all living, Eve, too. She listened to a tree. This wickedness, this thing that comes in the heart, is very crazy, because you got something that you trying to help people with, but you yourself need help. You can't help nobody if you ain't helping yourself. It has some truth in it. You know why? Because there are people who are in danger, and they need the wisdom to discern the issues of this land. You can't just be preaching things and teaching things without the one whose authority, who is God, can lead you into righteousness. Okay, that's the only way it goes. If you realize the fruits of their labor, you have to look at the past and learn from those who went before you. Okay, but yes, you gotta be equally yoked among unbelievers. Not everybody's everywhere. Now, people might do Halloween, people might do whatnot, people might do all type of mess with what they think is a holiday. But we remember what the Lord says, and now we gotta be careful. We gotta really be careful, because if we're not gonna get anywhere. All right. So that's why I need my people to wake up and look at this from a perspective of what it would be like if they didn't have these things. Because you gotta learn that Christ, he means what he says. And if you don't do that, you're not gonna get nowhere. That's just by fact. People need to be careful. You got all type of Halloween people. Now God allowed sense to happen so people can see the difference between right and wrong, and that's just how it is, y'all. This is a tug of war. It started in heaven, because the enemy, he charged God for not having freedom. They can't do what they want, And that's a problem. Away from the Lord, from his authority, there will be sin. That's what he said. And that's where people don't understand. You trying to separate. When you sin, you separate yourself from God. That's what he said was going to happen, and it did. All right? So we need to be thankful that God is ever merciful. All right? Here it is. In 1 Samuel, about the witch at Endor. That's the woman that was understanding all this mess because she believed, she played, it's all these subliminal messages in movies, it's signs. They're signs, okay? They're showing you what it really is, and sometimes it's strong in some places than others, okay? So you're going to have to realize what this is, and so do I, okay? So behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor, okay? That's what. Then said Saul unto his servant, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. See, the enemy's always doing stuff at night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards, here's right there, out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God departed from me, and answered me no more. That's what this quote unquote that he thinks is Samuel, nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me, for the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, nor excused his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou be and thy sons be with me. And the Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straight. This is him. Saul fell straightway all along the earth, and was sore afraid. That's what gave him fear, to be afraid. And there was no strength in him, and he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, behold, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy works which thou spakest unto me. Now, we know, he said, now, and therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thy handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. See, now she's trying to feed him. But he refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants together with the woman compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Saul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. You see, There's a problem. He should have never had no business listening to a heathen woman. A woman who's a witch at Endor. See, the Lord gave him something before that, but he up and disregarded the issue. He didn't care. So that's why David replaced Saul and he ended up dead. Saul ended up dead with his son Jonathan at war. That's the problem. Okay? He did not care. He sinned. See, it says here in chapter 26, going all the way to chapter 27 of what he did. All right, y'all? Because that's a problem. 27, it talks about him in Gath with David. And he said he was afraid of the Philistines. So because he's afraid of the Philistines, and because he ain't got no one else trying to warn him, because his problem, he thinks he's going to just take whatever he feel he can and just do whatever. And that's a problem. He don't understand. He don't understand. That's his problem. Samuel was not going to take care of him no more and warn him with warning messages. That's the thing with prophets back in the day were like pastors, okay? We have pastors because they understand the past. We look at the prophecy. That's the difference between what we think of it, what it is. They talking about pastors now. Pastors, okay? You got false preachers, false prophets and the real prophets of God, the minor prophets, the ones that understood the message when God gave it to them. It's when God gave it to them. Now, we know what the Lord said about this, so you just read it right here. It's all right here for you. Got the Amalekites he afraid of. Got David he afraid. He don't know the difference between right and wrong, and he gonna end up losing what was given to him. Now David spared Saul. He was going to take him out, meaning he was warning him not to come near him in the situation. Because the enemy, it got these men acting like they enemies. Like Saul, it's got Israel split, like who's going to be the king or the leader of the people. And David, he felt it was weird enough as it is that the Israelites wanted a king as it is. They wasn't certain about this. Now think of how far we've gotten from the tree of life. Now we talking about pastors. We can't call it prophets no more. We calling it pastors. Think of the dark ages before they had this Bible written. Think of the kings that had to understand this. Because of King James, and I'm on James Street. That's signified enough that the king of this person had did this. Okay, we talking about the early church. We talking about the time that connects us. We talking about the King Cyrus before or after. Was it after? Yeah. All the kings of Israel are gone, laid to rest. And then we got that gone. You had Egypt, you had Israel. Before Egypt, you had Egypt and Israel. But then you have Babylon. They building these places. What happened during the time of Jesus and the time of Roman Empire? That's the time Christ came around, okay? Under Herod and all the men. You got all this history in here. King James. This is a Bible, okay? We reading the Word of God, written, and the Word of God became flesh. We talking about all of that, but we waiting for better. He's making all things new. Here is our time, okay? We in the time of the toenails. They always call it the toenails time, because in the spirit of prophecy of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, we at the end of the Roman Empire, of the divided Europe, all of that. Divided Europe. That's all it was. All right, y'all. So that's what this was about. Yeah. And I'm just reflecting because, you know, these things are not easy to come about, to be. To just to understand what this is. If you just recognize, you will have no problems. All right. All right, y'all. That's all I got to say. May y'all have a great Sabbath. Happy Sabbath, y'all. You know, because, you know, the Sabbath's going to start this evening. So I'm just giving you a morning devotional. Hey, I'm doing like it is. Please like to subscribe. All right, y'all. Peace.